Okay, hello everybody. This is CPAT. It's my first time using OBS in a long time, so hopefully this works out well. But today I'm gonna be casting some YOMI. This is the solo showdown finals. So I gotta tell these guys that it's casting. Well, I'm not really sure if this is working or not, but we'll check it out in post. But anyways, if this is working, this is a solo only tournament, which means you only enter with one character. This is the finals actually. So we have mastrblastr, well-known player, one of the best in the business. He's on his signature Zane, and we have Nopethebard, a relatively new player, but get to see some fresh blood, and he's in on the Rook. So anyways, looks like this match has already started. Like I said, I hope it's really capturing the match, because I don't want to be talking to myself for an hour without it capturing, right? So anyways, I can start by talking about this matchup in general. This matchup is probably, it's shocking to hear that Zane has a bad matchup, but I think this is one of Zane's bad matchups. It's probably one of his worst matchups. Nothing too terrible, in my opinion, at least. Nothing too terrible. Like, oh boy, Master Blaster has no blocks in hand. I really hope I get more of these whispers, so you can see, so the people can see what's going on right now. But anyways, going back to talk about the match. This commentary is going to be all over the place, by the way. I just got here, I got called into the job. I just downloaded OBS 10 minutes ago. Didn't work the first two times, so I'm hoping the third time's the charm. Interesting jack here, but we'll discuss the minutia of the matchup later. But for now, obviously this matchup it's Rook favored. This jack, one of the reasons, 2.2 faster than basically any card Zane's going to play in neutral. Here's another reason why the matchup is in Rook's favor. This king, much like Truck, has the same ability of beating speed normals of speed 5.0 or faster. And if you look at Zane's character card over here, you can very clearly see when he knocks down the opponent, his normals go to speed 1.0. So what this basically means is that, wow, double Joker, huh? Interesting gold burst there. Anyway, what this means is, in a time where Zane would normally be, quite advantaged, he's actually, the mix-up's a little bit different. It's not so crystal clear of, block or uppercut, because this card exists. Means Zane has to do some funky things when he knocks down Rook. Things like raw jack, raw king, raw queen, that kind of thing, which opens up more counterplay from the Rook side. Additionally, going for a plan like Maximum Anarchy, it's it's scary, because Rook obviously has this 5-block Stonewall, reflecting the attack's damage back to the attacker. I don't know, I'm gonna do this commentary like I'm assuming people are new to the game, even though I feel like most of the people watching this aren't. But obviously, Anarchy into Stonewall makes Zane sad. It's not a plan that you can go for it, and I think that it's definitely correct to play Anarchy some percentage of the time, but you just have to be very careful of Stonewall in general, right? So anyway, let's actually jump into the game here, because I actually have not paid too much attention to the game besides Master Blaster using both of his gold jokers. By the way, I don't know if that's the glitch or not. But anyway, looking at this, interestingly enough, what I've been noticing is that Nope's been drawing a lot of these special blocks, not 5s but 3s. This block is actually pretty bad for Zane, because it knocks him down, right? So not only so he gets a little setup, Rook already has, he already has the dominant fast attack with Jack, but moreover, do I see it? I do not see his 5 attack here, but his 5 attack becomes a 2.8 unblockable, That's pretty good. 7 attack, also pretty solid option. 4.8, also unblockable because of course Zane does not have any even blocks. Uh, so basically to counter that, that's why Master Blaster played this Queen. Queen, one of the few attacks that doesn't lose to King, and doesn't lose to that mix-up in general. But this Jack, this 2.2 speed, it looks like it might not do a lot, only 4 damage, but 2.2 is a very important speed against Zane because it stuffs everything, including his jab. Zane's 2 attack is 2.3 speed, so a card like Thunderclap against a Zane that's not willing to block or dodge, which, sometimes blocking or dodging, it's not the thing you want to do against a grappler. You want to make sure you don't get thrown. So as a result, this 2.2 is more likely to hit. And I apologize, by the way, if this frantic clicking on the cards is annoying and is bad for the viewing pleasure of you, but it's just one of those habits I have where I like to kind of look at the discard. I do have them sorted, just to kind of analyze, what cards are more likely to be played, in the near future. What cards is one of the 2 characters less likely to have, that kind of thing. Analyzing the discards is very important, but I do apologize because I'm going to be frankly frantically clicking through the discards to see, not even to see, just as kind of like a tick. I don't really know what the term is, but it's just kind of like a bad habit. But anyway, getting back to the matchup, there are some, right, like it's not all doom and gloom for Zane. One of the reasons why, obviously, is that this combat right here can actually pretty accurately demonstrate, why Zane doesn't lose like 9-1 or 7-3 or something, right? Like look at this damage, right? So let's just analyze that combat real quick. And for a lot of experienced YOMI players, this is going to be a little bit redundant, but it's just very important to point out that, okay, let's see what happened in that combat. Master Blaster revealed a 9 attack. Okay, so a normal attack, let him draw a card. We're not going to talk about this King so much, but he threw. So Master Blaster played 9 attack, drew a card, replaced that 9 in his hand. Then what happened? He revealed King and Jack off shenanigans. So free cards, basically free damage. And what was his full combo? His full combo was 9 attack into a throw into a Jack. So basically, Master Blaster spent 1 card off his attack and dealt 24 damage and knocked him down in a situation where Rook, for some reason, has spent 3 kings. Like I said, I haven't really been paying the most attention to the match, but in a situation where Rook has played 3 kings, that's very, and even if Rook hadn't played the 3 kings, this is still very good, because it's 24 damage for 1 card. Insane. And he gets the setup afterwards because of these kings. Very likely that, and what happened was Nopethebard, obviously, very unlikely to have not very unlikely, but pretty unlikely to have the 4th king combat, chose to play AA to try to outspeed a meaty, and it allowed Zane to block, right? So this was I think this was a pretty standard block from from Zane's side. Very, very high chance that Rook would have the aces. I'm not really sure if he'd powered up for them earlier. But very, very high chance for the aces. Very good play on Rook's side, especially because Zane's dodges, outside of when he has aces, Zane's dodges aren't the most damaging. The setup can be good if you can dodge into a Jack or a King. But outside of that, Zane's dodges aren't the most threatening. So basically what happened in that combat, right? So he spent a card, but then he blocked the attack, and he blocks the attack in a large number of worlds there, I think. So basically, in the span of those two combats, he gains a card and also deals 24 damage, which is insane, right? So combat results like that mean Zane is never out of it. Anyways, in the span in the span of my rambling, Zane's actually won game one. Nice cheeky throw at the end. He threw through the entangling vines, which is pretty nice. He powered up for the. He'd actually earlier powered up for aces, maybe threatening. I'm not even sure if he had it. I'd have to pay more attention to it, but he was threatening anarchy. So it's not all doom and gloom. These early king throws, not early. These neutral game king throws. I'm not sure I like them a lot. Cause if you so if you're on Rook's side, I feel like you want to if you're expecting a throw and you want to counter throw. You can throw with, I guess you can only have a couple options. You only have 2 and 3, right? But this is such an important resource. And as you saw in the last game, that combat that I spent 5 to 6 minutes talking about, maybe 5 minutes longer than I should have. That last combat, it was just so critical because like I said, I wasn't paying the most attention on where the kings in the first game went. But Nopethebard spent 3 of them, right? So basically, what that means is that he is that the only way, basically in most worlds, the only way that he could actually beat the media attacks from Zane is with the king, or is not with the king, right? Because 3 of them are spent. Is with the AA. So that heavily skews Zane. Zane's kind of thinking, it's like, oh, like blocking is way better here, because I'm much less likely to get hit by king. Moreover, Rook here not only spends a king in combat, spends AA in combat. So I am a little bit worried on Rook's side, what's going to happen when he gets knocked down. Because maybe he has a second king, right? But just like it's like spending this resource on such an early turn. It's an interesting choice. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad. I'm not going to make that claim right out. But just looking by the resources spent, right? So Rook has 66 life and has 5 cards in hand, whereas Zane has 47 life but has 9 cards in hand. If Nopethebard's able to get a couple blocks off like he did there, that's one good block. Probably needs a couple more. If he's able to get not these special blocks, by the way, he needs to get normal blocks off so he can get some resources back into his hand. But this is kind of one of those moments where it could get scary. Where Zane has a bunch of resources that he wants to, that he has the ability to spend, and Rook might theoretically be a little bit weak to meaties, right? Or if he's not weak to meaties, that AA is not coming. It's going to be the king throw, and then you can maybe keep that in mind and reveal a queen in combat instead. So I hate to harp on a player, right? Because it's too early to say whether this is a good play or a bad play. But it's just something to watch out for, right? Because now look, even life, Zane's going for Zane's power up for 2 aces. So now this makes you scared of anarchy, especially because you've spent 2 stone walls already. Although you play this card so fast, this feels like a 3rd stone wall to me. I don't know why. Okay, I was totally wrong. But it's just that now you're in. I guess it's a little bit better. But you're in the mid game. Both characters have equal amounts of life, and Zane has a little bit more resources. He's a little bit more leeway with his setups. So it appears to be working out here. But I just feel like there's a good chance that it won't, right? There's a good chance that spending all these resources like the AA on like turn 3 or whatever, unless you have a good plan of getting them back, which, you know, maybe he doesn't even need it, right? Because Zane's on 30 health. But you know, it's just there are lots of ways that this kind of plan can go wrong in theory, but it hasn't. So or I guess it hasn't in this case so far. Oh, actually, huh? Never mind. Everything I said before was correct. Uh, Man, I really should be. I'm sorry. This is a poor commentary on my part. I noticed the AA power up, but yeah, it's just spending those resources early. Maybe this combat wouldn't have been affected so much, right? Because this is like a neutral combat. Um, but you know, it matters. I think it matters. Um, so anyway, Zane is up 2-0, doing mastrblastr doing quite well right now. Let's see what kind of strategy he employs here. We're 2 games deep, so we know maybe some range shifts might be happening, or some adjustments will be made based on prior play. So let's see what happens. I like this first turn block. You know, it can be scary to block against a grappler. This is a swing for the fences 10. Okay, yeah, I respect it. Could be a read there, more than anything else. But I really like the block turn 1, just because. Wow, the full punish, 6 queen 9 jack for 31, knockdown. Knockdown means, of course, rock armor cannot happen. Not that rock armor was going to happen, because look at the size of Nopethebard's hand. It was only at 6. So playing rock armor there might have been suicide. This is an interesting 2 attack. The I guess it's okay. I'm not the biggest fan of it. You know, it's early days. I'm not the biggest fan of this 2 attack. It's just too small of a number, right? Like that combat feels really bad. It's not the end of the world or anything, right? But and it honestly could have worked. You might want to you mastrblastr might be thinking there you go for the setup before Rook draws anything that prevents the setup from happening, right? So if you go for the knockdown into the mix-up before Rook draws a king, and before Rook draws resources to draw AA or to power up for AA or to draw AA naturally, it might be a play. You know, the more I think about this, the more I don't hate this. The only thing I hate about it was the fact that this is such a small number. But then again, he spent a 6 attack and a 9 attack in the first combat anyway. I apologize. This commentary is just going going all over the place. This is a wild anarchy. I really like this. You have to do this sometimes, and the wild anarchies are best to do when you have resources left in the tank, right? So wild anarchies. I guess I'll refer to a wild anarchy as powering up for multiple aces and then playing anarchy right away. So wild anarchies are pretty rough when you don't have resources in your pocket, right? So in that case, mastrblastr had 10 cards in hand, right? It's a significant amount of resources left in the tank, because you can look at the life totals, right? Rook's when he blocks the anarchy, he's fine. You still have 62 HP to get through. When you're saying, oh, Jesus, this is high quality YOMI gameplay right here. I've done this before, and I feel pretty dirty just mentioning it. This is the anarchy into Joker. Wow. So anyway, what I was talking about was the early game block as Zane versus Rook. So as we know, Rook, while he has the fast, he's very fast throws, right? 2.0, 3.0, 2.4 on the king, very fast throws in general. But one thing is they don't do a ton of damage. So sometimes it's okay to eat a throw, especially in the early game. But if that combat happens and you reveal block and Rook reveals an attack, you are in such a great position. What is this game right now? Checkmate Buster into a 7 attack, huh? I guess Nopethebard just tried to do the same thing that Master Blaster did, and they both failed horribly. Except Master Blaster now gets like a 30 damage combo off of it. 7 Queen, 9 Jack, 7 Queen Jack. Not the biggest fan of spending this Queen in this combo. I'm just getting so sidetracked. I was talking about why Zane blocking against grapplers. Or I guess I was talking about only Rook, but why Zane blocking against Rook can be so strong. Just to get that early lead on resources that allowed him to get that anarchy and so on and so forth. Let's talk about this Queen. I'm not the biggest fan of this Queen. Here, at least I am of the opinion, and I have the capacity to be wrong. I am of the opinion that queens should be saved for until like unless this is like the either the penultimate or the final combat, which I guess it was close to. But I am of the opinion that queens should be saved for big normals, right? And not even big normals. This is game right here. Is Master Blaster up 3-0? Insane. Wait, it's over. Huh. I didn't even get any thoughts in. Don't watch this. This is not high quality. This is not a high quality commentary. This is me rambling 30 minutes half the time, just not even focused on the game. I guess the game speaks for itself. Congrats to Master Blaster for the 3-0, by the way. But queens, I really like them. They unlock the damage potential of Zane so much, right? Because this is the only linker that costs 1 combo point in your hand. So what it enables you to do is to combo normal into queen into normal into jack. And you might be thinking, oh, this is elementary school stuff. I already know this. Why is this important? Well, why? But basically, like, having queens, it unlocks your damage potential so much, because if you don't have the queen, what you'd have to opt for instead is a normal into a throw into a jack, right? Which is significantly less damage than the first combo of normal into queen into normal into jack, which is why I am a big fan of not using queens unless you have the second normal in the pocket, right? So you can unlock that damage potential. It doesn't matter here, obviously, because the game's already won and they're already back to the main menu. But just something to keep in mind, that until the very late game, which I guess that kind of was the very late game if you think about it, right? Because Master Blaster won the next 2 combats to win the game. But in general, just something to keep in mind with your queens is you don't want to blow them early on things like that, right? Because it unlocks your combos like the 9Q 9 Jack classic combo. Also unlocks the normal. You can just stick it in, and you can combo into AA, right? So I'm not a huge fan of the normal into queen into jack, but I could have not been paying attention. He could have just shenanigan that queen, in which case everything I've said is null and void. Anyways, congrats to Master Blaster for winning Solo Showdown tournament. Beat a Rook at the very end. Tough matchup for the reasons that I may or may not have said. Probably didn't say too well. But anyways, thank you for watching, stopping by. Don't recommend this to your friends. Don't let other people watch this. I'd say this is pretty poor on the commentary front. I spent 0% of the time talking about the game, 80% of the time rambling about random stuff that didn't happen or didn't matter. And I guess there's some useful information. 20% was useful information. It's a very stream of consciousness commentary. I didn't really have anyone. I had no one else to focus myself and to center myself into talking about the actual game. But I hope you did enjoy watching it. Like I said, don't recommend this to your friends. Good games, Master Blaster and Nopethebard. Congrats to both. Nopethebard, relatively new player, getting second at the tournament. It's pretty admirable. I'm sure there were like 20-25 people entered in. Congrats to Master Blaster for yet another W on the board. One of the best of all time. Yeah, but other than that, I don't have much more to say. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this kind of commentary will never happen again. All right, take care.